Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back with episode 3 of our Great British Mickey Waffle Takeover. Once more, we'll be diving into the adventures and tribulations of our DCP summer in 2024. I'm Josh, and in this episode, we are set for our first guest of the series to help myself and Morg relive the cultural experiences of last summer, with trips to the Waffle House, Bass Pro, baseball, Portillo's, City Walk, Winter Garden. That we certainly have a lot to discuss. So without further ado, hold on to those hats and glasses. This will be one wild ride.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go.
So, as always, to do this, I need my right-hand man to help me get through and remember just exactly what we did last summer. Anyway, enough of that banter. Good evening, Morgan.
Good evening. Good evening.
Our listeners will have picked up on the intro that we do have a special guest with us tonight. This person, for long-time listeners of The Waffle, would need no introduction. He became a brother to myself and Morg last summer and took great pleasure in introducing us Brits to a little bit of Floridian culture, with which otherwise we would never have experienced. He also embraced learning about our British culture, as through the more time we spent together and uncovered many quirks and differences between our lives across the pond, and though the contents of a Yorkshire pudding may still be up for debate, he has a very good Flamingo Crossings taxi service, also known as a Zuba. It's with great delight to welcome our great friend and all-round nice guy, Zac Brown. Good evening, Zac.
Thank you, guys.
Whoop, whoop.
It's just an honor and a privilege to be here with you both.
It's nice to be reunited finally, isn't it?
Definitely.
To have a little hangout.
Yeah.
It's like the good old times. But we get the pleasure tonight of reliving some of those brilliant memories that we have from last summer. And I think we will certainly fill out our episode with quite a few of them, if not, maybe not quite all of them. So we'll start off with our first week of our experience. And my first ever time of meeting Zac, actually. And I'd heard everything about Zac and how amazing he was. And I'd not.
I always forget that you've never met Zac before.
I'd never met Zac before, no.
I always forget that.
Yeah. And Morgan had obviously, you'd met him before, was it the previous summer?
I have had the privilege of meeting Zac before last summer, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful you said the privilege of meeting him, not the catastrophic, trauma-inducing experience.
That's for off camera.
Yeah. We'll be nice to each other just for the next hour or so. So our first experience of the summer was Zac taking us to the Waffle House.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be done.
So I will leave, and we must ask the question to Zac, why the Waffle House is our first cultural experience?
Well, it's funny that you said that. I had to think. I was like, what was the first thing that we did? And I love that as you just refreshed my memory, I went, oh, yes, I would repeat that. That is the first stop on American tour. If you were bringing internationals and you want them to very quickly get a feel for the country, and, there's no better way to connect with someone than sharing a meal with them and finding out what some of their country's foods are. So you have to go to a Waffle House, and in my opinion, the dingier the better. The place where you go and it's going to be cheap. The food is going to be exceedingly average, and if a fight breaks out, that's just the status quo. Not with you, obviously, with people behind the counter, but it was one of those things I just knew that I had to take my friends from across the pond to the quintessential Americana experience.
I think we learned that very quickly, didn't we? It was...
Yeah, I mean, you said the food was average. I'd debate the other way around, to be honest. I thought it was really nice.
We were really
quite good. That's what I'd place it above, like Denny's, probably.
Oh, easily above Denny's. Easily.
I think it depends on what you're going for.
I think if you can get past the grease and the grime on the table and you sit down, I think everything is brilliant.
That's exactly. That's the charm. It's
the same with the UK Wetherspoons, Josh. If you can get past the squeaking on the floor as your shoes stick to the...
You're probably not far off. It's the
floorboards.
It's the chain pancake version of or waffle version of Wetherspoons, isn't it? Really.
That's the
So
first
Yeah.
and
looking
last-
back, would you go back to a Waffle House like if you had the opportunity?
Oh,
Absolutely.
100%. 100%.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
No, I've heard stories that Waffle House needs to be attacked at like 3 a.m.
Oh yeah.
for the ultimate experience, which I feel like might be the next step.
I have a buddy of mine that there for I want to think it was about a year. He had a running note in his phone that him and like two other buddies shared, and their goal was to eat at Waffle House for all 24 hours on the clock. Like, so, say like on a random Tuesday, they'd be like, what haven't we done? It'd be like, oh, we haven't done a 2 p.m. Okay, cool. We got to go at 2 p.m. And then maybe like a month later, they'd be like, we haven't done the 4 a.m. And they were trying to cross off. It was the most ridiculous thing. But I was like, this is, to quote Lizzie McGuire, this is what dreams are made of.
Living the dream, that is.
Yeah.
Calorific, carb-filled dreams.
I think it is actually one of them. It's probably one of them rare places, though, that actually, no matter at different points of the day, you'll get a very different experience.
Oh yeah,
each other. I think when we went, we got quite a tame introduction in comparison to what these places can turn out to be.
I mean, you almost kind of want to go when they're packed out, like just to get that full experience. It's like being in like a really busy pub where it's like there's the energy of all the people, like the sounds of the clinking coffee mugs and spoons and all the things. It really kind of adds to that experience. This is the most wax poetic that I've ever gone on about Waffle House, but it really is that experience that you're looking for. If you're there at like noon on a Tuesday and there's like 3 other people in there, it just feels wrong. It's really weird. It's like seeing your teacher outside of school and you're like, you don't belong here. That's not how this works. And so it's very much like that. You want to go late at night with a whole bunch of people. Like, it's just so much fun.
So it's probably one of those, if you took a microphone along at different times of the day and you sort of recorded like an atmosphere soundscape or something, you'd get totally different ones for each hour, isn't it? It sounds mental, but I have to say, from before we went, I was told by the cast members at Creations, because I mentioned to them, "Oh, me and my British mate are being taken out by our American friend, who he said for our program we had to do a cultural experience every month and write a small couple sentences on it and then submit it to the US government to show that we're actually there for our people, like doing what our visa says." When I said to them, "Oh, our cultural experience this month is going to be going to Waffle House," they all looked at me and went, "Oh, you're not going to like it." So they were like, "Oh, you poor soul." And actually, I beg to differ.
I'm so proud that another human being, reported to my government that I took them to Waffle House. I've never thought of it that way, and that just delights me greatly. That is on some file somewhere in our country's capital that this guy took these guys to Waffle House.
Brilliant.
But it's bang on though. It was culturally adaptive, wasn't it? We had to adapt to the culture. Yeah.
And we had to say what we'd learned. So we'd had to talk about, we learned about the food and learned about the atmosphere in a diner in a Waffle House. Important federal information, this.
That's right.
Okay, so we'll just move on slightly through the tour of Zac Brown's Floridian cultural enhancing experience. I want to move on to Bass Pro Shop. That's the next stop on my list. I had never been to a Bass Pro Shop before. I had never really felt the need to go into a Bass Pro Shop before. And now, since my visit with Zac, I can safely say that every time I go back to Florida now, a Bass Pro Shop will be on the agenda.
Yes. That's great.
And you know what, Zac? I very nearly messaged you a few months. I meant to message you a few months ago, actually, because we were out at like an outdoor pub in the student area of Liverpool, and there was this guy sitting across the way from me with his Bass Pro hat on.
Yeah.
And it was one of them moments where I wanted to have my Bass Pro hat on, because one time when I have had it on and someone's from the opposite direction with theirs on, it's a very mutual respect that you both have with each other. You give a little nod that actually you've been to the experience of it. Yeah.
And trauma of Bass Pro Shop.
Oh, not as
It's
traumatic
one of
as
those things.
I was going to say the trauma of Bass Pro was the pork rinds. They're the trauma that will remain with me forever. They will.
I didn't try
I-
those.
I don't
Yeah.
think I've had pork rinds since where I've not thought about sharing them with you. And it just, again, just delights me because it was the complete opposite experience from you guys at Waffle House where you're like, this is revolting. I can't do this. Why are you eating these things? Yeah, Bass Pro is one of those things that, again, it's quintessential America. They're all over the country and they vary in size and the decor. Some of them, like the one that we have here, has a laser shooting arcade, which is really cool. And
It's scary how big you are, to be honest.
however big the fish tanks of the aquariums, and it's just so cool that you get to see
That's
these
what I
things.
loved.
Mm-hmm.
So like the whole, I wasn't really. So I didn't go with you guys. I went with my friend Chris a bit later on down the line. I think I was on shift when you guys went. But we went to the same one, and the gun bit, the shooting gallery, we didn't do. But I sort of looked at it and went, "No, thank you, not for me." But I was sort of one of those moments, like culturally, where I went, "Oh God, that's a lot of guns." Like you can walk past the aisle in a Walmart and it'd be like, okay, you expect to see it, but like actually seeing them on display in a Bass Pro Shop, it was something completely different. But seeing the aquarium was awesome. Like and it's now my goal, and I'm going to extend the challenge to you two as well. At some point, we've got to get my mum to go into one of those shops.
Has she still not been?
She's not been, and I'm telling her that she's got to go. And I need evidence that mum has been into a Bass Pro Shop.
Well, has she been to a Waffle House?
No, I've been trying to get into one of those as well.
Well, here you go, Zach.
That will just have to be one.
Here's your challenge for the summer, Zach.
You've got to get all of the Wafflers Senior, into a Waffle House. It's got to be done.
I'm going to have to get a bigger Zuber.
On the way home, you need to make it a super stretch.
Yeah, very good.
Super XL.
No, I think that was the biggest thing for us, was that the things that were obviously available in just an outdoor shop in this country. Anything in an outdoor shop they're pretty small shops to begin with, and you can buy tents, your outdoor camping equipment. Yeah. Whereas Bass Pro, anything you could ever think of that is an outdoor form of sport activity, you name it, it was in there.
It makes you want to go camping because there's all this cool stuff where you're like, oh, this is awesome. Like I want to use this. But
it's all set up for you. So they all put out the tents and show you how you could use a tent in a certain environment, and you're like, oh, I could imagine myself in that. And
so they offer you trips as well. They offer you trips using their equipment. Like when I was there with Chris, someone came up to us and tried to sell us a trip to some desert somewhere. It was for his birthday, and they were like, "Oh well, we could give you this trip for this price, and it'd be the two of you out in the desert with a load of camping gear on a hunting trip." And we were just there like, "No, thank you though."
It just says hard pass.
Oh, I'm okay. Take me to the aquarium.
Being in the Bass Pro is enough roughing it for Morgan.
Quite funny. So we'll then move on to it was less of a cultural experience, but something that we did all together. I think maybe we'll touch on why we went there first. So we attempted to go and see a baseball game twice.
Mm-hmm.
Twice. Attempted is the key word here.
First time round didn't go so well. Me and myself and Zach, we attempted to go, didn't we? And I
think the first one was all three of us, and that was when it was
the first one was all three of us, and it got thunder and lightning off. So to try and make the most of that evening, we went down to City Walk to go and see the at the Epic Universe mini model scale thing in the shop. I don't know if you both remember about how wet we got from walking from the car. Oh yeah, that was quite the torrential rain, which probably proved that actually the baseball game being called off was for the correct reasons, really.
We couldn't have been any more wet had we had jumped into the fountain in front of the Universal Park. We were just soaked.
It's one of those Chandler Bing moments. It's like, could you be any more wet?
Yeah. I I think the thing that makes me laugh was how we tried to like dodge all the puddles to begin with, and then it just got to a point where the water was like ankle deep anyway. So it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
So,
It just didn't matter.
Yeah, it was. But anyway, we wanted to touch on this Epic Universe model because actually that was mine and Morg's first real experience of anything, completely away from our Disney bubble that we were in at the time.
Yeah.
To actually go and see how the other half live, so to speak, was very interesting, I would say. And we certainly were being fed information through our work, and I had chats with, senior people up in the Disney company about their feelings towards Epic Universe. And we were obviously being given a narrative, and then we went down to go and visit this model, and actually just from the scale of that was just literally breathtaking. And
yeah,
I think at that point we both realized they're onto something quite special here, and this is something that Disney needs to be taken quite seriously.
I mean, seeing how it's gone. I mean, I've not seen any of the actual park itself. I'm still keeping away from all that. But seeing the reception to the character performers online and the park itself, Universal have sort of cracked what Disney had cracked a couple of years ago in terms of interactions, in terms of theming, in terms of the rides. It seems like Universal have sort of hit it on the head in a way that Disney haven't done before. And that was really interesting to see, especially working as cast members. It was one of those where we went, oh wow, okay. Yeah, that's something to really think about and look at and look forward to.
And it's wild to think we were standing there looking at this, scale model in the middle of a store, their little preview center or whatever, and how long ago that feels, like you're saying, to see the reception and the people, enjoying this. And I have yet to go. It's just been so flipping hot. I'm planning on going on November when I have some family down. But seeing the impact while in the Disney parks since the opening, I mean, the waits for attractions, even in the summertime, there's been some times that I've gone that I'm like, wow, this is nice. I just feel like we win either way.
Yeah.
So it's either gonna force Disney to be better. It's divvying up some of the crowd share. I'm like, okay, cool. Less lines, and this is hilarious. As we're sitting here talking, this photo pops up on my Alexa device over here, and it's a picture of the three of us sitting in Waffle House. That's funny. But so
listening to us.
Yes. Now she's going, I'm not sure what you're talking about. But how it's really cool to see the progress from this little interactive model to the reality and what actually showed up. And it was like, okay, cool.
I think what's because I haven't watched people walking through the park, so I've seen lots of pictures. And when I look back at what we saw in person on the smaller scale, you think some of the Disney concept art and things like that come out, and you're looking at the real thing. Like Tiana's strikes to me more than anything. And you look at Tiana's in person versus the concept art, and you're like, where's that kind of gone wrong? Whereas the Universal one, whatever we saw on that mini scale model, from what I can see, is exactly what you've got now in person.
Yeah.
Which I think is why that was so breathtaking, because actually
you can tell it's been made with love and care.
Well, the details that were put into that though were just incredible, and to be able to scan a QR code on where a certain ride was going to be, and for then you get to watch a virtual ride along of that ride. It's stuff that was never seen before, and actually, as you are right, Zach, it can only up the game of Disney and surrounding theme parks, because I think they really did blow the competition out of the water in this case.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see it for myself. Like you're saying, Morgan, I'm trying to avoid as many spoilers as possible. I mean, Instagram is inundated with it right now. Everybody's posting pictures of the big tower, the portals themselves, little things that I'm like, it's almost like I see it pop up and I click away as quickly as I can or scroll. I just want to, especially Dark Universe is the thing that I'm looking forward to the most, because a friend of mine worked on the main attraction there, and so I'm really proud to go and see that. And I'm like, I just want to experience it. I don't want to see anything else.
I think
I was going to say I'm in the same boat with Nintendo Land and stuff. And How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk. Those are two big franchises that I love, and I'm I just want to keep away from it all, because in the day going back to be amazing. It's like when I went back to Disney after COVID, we had Galaxy's Edge open. We had like so much stuff was open that wasn't there before, and that's a huge thing. Before I forget, I'm just going to jump back a bit. We talked about baseball and thunderstorms. I think I wrote about that for my cultural experience as well.
Yeah,
Talking about how we tried to go to a baseball game and got thundered off and went to the Epic Universe preview instead. That's my cultural experience. So
although
I think I was flooded the government with useless information.
Well, for the next transition on from this, I think we turned a negative into a massive positive that night, because out of a baseball game being cancelled, we went to go down to City Walk. And on our way back from City Walk, became probably the greatest thing that had ever happened to me. And I literally sit around here on a daily basis and wish that I could just go into town and have one of these. Portillo's. That place.
Oh, I was like, what did we do?
Very, very, very special place in my heart. I could see the confusion on your face, and I had that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, where did we go? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause
This
we
is
did
one of the
so
places
much.
that needs a feature of its own, because actually Portillo's, it just, yeah. It's just,
It was great.
How many times did you have Portillo's while you were here after I took you?
I mean, you took us probably, I'd say, a month into our program, so we only had like a month and a half left. And I think I must have gone 4 or 5 times at least.
But we got it Ubered over to us as well.
We did, yeah. That's not even Zubered over. That was Ubered over.
Yeah.
So I handling fee for that one.
Sweet.
Just for the chocolate cake, really, isn't it? I mean,
I was going to say, between us, I think we had Portillo's probably around 10 times or something like that.
Yeah.
Just for the hot dog and even just the cake shake. I mean, that in itself is a cultural experience.
Collectively, your room probably ate 2 cakes worth of Portillo's.
Easily.
Probably.
I mean, the temptation one time to buy the giant cake instead of just a little cake slice was, very strong.
I think it would have been gone that same evening, though, and we wouldn't be in work the next day.
Very, very easily. Very easily. They were.
There's nothing like Portillo's, like on a wet summer night when you've been rained out, you're tired, you're just like, you need some food, but going in and just having, a Chicago dog or a chili cheese coney, whatever. I've never had a bad meal there, and it's nothing special. But again, it's just kind of classic American fare, and it has to be done.
I mean, that time you took us that first night, that was my first time out of Portillo's. That was my first time really having a proper American like hot dog that wasn't theme park food. And that it was actually like, I don't know what I expected going into it. I was sort of thinking, it's going to be like fast food, sort of McDonald's style, or it's going to be like Chick-fil-A or something like that. And I was really pleasantly surprised.
That's getting a
no. But like Chick-fil-A is great. Don't get me wrong. Chick-fil-A is good.
But Portillo's is on a different level, 100%.
But Portillo's almost reminded me of Five Guys in a way. The way Five Guys is here, it's fresh. It doesn't feel like it's been taken out of a freezer. It feels like it's all been made fresh. And then even just like having a hot dog like that in the UK, you'd get it with chili on top, or you'd get like onions on it, but nothing like an American hot dog. And that it made me speechless. Honestly, I miss it. Weird to say about a hot dog, but
well, it's got enough sodium to kill a baby horse. I mean, so you have to make sure that you're staying hydrated after you leave these places.
Just means I'm stronger than a baby horse.
That's right. Well, that's good. It's a good positive spin. That's the proper way of looking at it.
But then they also do a cake shake, which
has enough sugar to kill a small human.
In effect, it was a slab of cake inside of a milkshake. And
so it was probably like a sort of normal sized chocolate cake cut into tenths, and then 1/10 of that cake is put inside the milkshake for you to consume as you're drinking. And it's honestly, I don't even know where to start with it.
I think it was round this table that we had at Portillo's that Zach used the terminology, and it's always stuck with me, that when America was formed, they had to do
Zach's panicking.
What did I say?
Whatever America had to come up with had to just be bigger. It had to have more sugar in it, and it had to be better. And by making it bigger and more sugary, it became better.
I don't remember saying it, but I stand by it.
Well, they were very wise words, Zach, I'd have said.
Yeah, it's Portillo's is just, it's good. It's just really good. And again, sort of like Waffle House, I feel like it's better the later you go. And it's gonna set heavier for whatever reason. But there's two times I want Portillo's. There's late at night when you're just kind of thinking like, what do we want to get? Or like at a, Sunday afternoon after coming from the lake and you've been swimming and playing and you're just tired and sunburned slightly and you're like, what do we need? You're like, ooh, just get a couple dogs from Portillo's and a cake shake for later. That's a good time.
Perfection.
I mean, the other thing with Portillo's is that we, at the very end of the summer, so that I think it was it the night before we left, or was it? I can't remember when it was, but it was before we went
the
home.
the night before you went home, because I was still out there for a week. But yeah, the night before
we went to Miller's Ale House, didn't we, for dinner? And then one of us spotted there was a Portillo's about two storefronts down. And we ended up hiking. Us three and Joe ended up hiking down.
And John, I think John
was John with us as well.
Yeah.
We ended up hiking through bushes down the main road to get to the Portillo's just for a cake shake, and it was worth it.
I would do it again
after having a massive meal.
It wasn't like we were hungry either, but it was just the fact that it was there. You're like, I can't not get it.
It's not like Miller's don't do nice desserts themselves. We just had it in our heads that we just wanted a Portillo's cake. Yeah.
We had to show Joe the way, and I think Joe would agree that it's 10 out of 10.
Very much so, yeah. Very much so. So I think we'll move on from Portillo's and we'll get to a night now where I think Morg will agree this is probably our favourite night of the whole experience. And it was spent off property and it was spent beyond and behind Big Thunder Mountain. And Zach had picked us up and we went for a tour around downtown Winter Garden. And then we went back to the Browns household for a roast dinner. So I think it's very much worth discussing downtown Winter Garden, and we'll get to our roast dinner experience beyond that. But that was very much a highlight of my summer. Because I mean, downtown Winter Garden is never a place that is out of reach for any tourist visiting Disney and Florida, but actually somewhere that you probably don't think of going to. And just, I mean, it's definitely going to be the first place I want to go back to when we go next time, because it's exactly, it is a quintessential American, feeling that you get from a place that's like it's really difficult to describe, like an old-fashioned American.
It's just a classic small town.
Yeah, beautiful place. But it felt so much like we were, from my experiences up in like St. Augustine and things like that, which are like a few hours away from Orlando, to have this 20 minutes away from basically the gates of Magic Kingdom, it just didn't feel like you're in Orlando, and actually you were in a very central part of it. And yeah, it was a very beautiful place.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I think what we, or most people who are not from Orlando, I think have come to think is what is Orlando is iDrive. It is by Universal. It is all these places. But the longer that I've lived here and interacted with people that have been here since before Disney landed, and I grew up here, Winter Garden is what Orlando feels like. These are these little small, originally rural areas. They were farmland, they were citrus groves, they were cow pastures and horse pastures. And, where I'm sitting now, it used to be all orange groves. And it's the reason that it's called Winter Garden, was it was a place where during the winter months, they could grow healthy crops and people would be able to get fresh citrus, whether that be oranges or grapefruits, things like that. And there was a railroad right through downtown because it was a way of getting it in and out of here to the other places. And so it's kind of quintessential Florida, where, there's cobblestone streets and there's, Spanish moss hanging in the trees and, little jazz bands playing in the, the little middle of the main street. There's Plant Street. There's a little gazebo, and they'll set up and just play music, and a little movie theater. It just really is. It takes you to a much simpler and safer and joyous time.
Absolutely. And I think, especially for Josh and I, having been so immersed in the Disney bubble up to that point, and sort of we lived and breathed Disney, which is totally unrealistic. But because we lived at Flamingo, that's what happened. It was really such a nice change to leave that bubble, to leave that area. And even earlier on as well, driving through downtown, I think it was wasn't it downtown Orlando where we went to see the baseball?
Yeah, I was taking you through a lot of like back neighborhoods just to give you like, this is where the people live.
And it was so nice just to see like actual places where people live, not just the tourist stuff. I mean, you did the food trucks as well, which were amazing.
I'd forgotten about that. Yeah.
It just sparked in my head now as you were talking about Winter Garden.
Yeah.
I was like, the food trucks. I mean, all of this, it was so, as you say, Zach, it's so quintessentially American and sort of just so untouched really by the tourist curse, I suppose, in that actually it's so nice to go there and just disconnect. You'll feel like you're actually somewhere where people live. It's not this pristine, perfect place. Like, don't get me wrong, Celebration is lovely, but it's very much everything has got to be perfect. It feels a little bit like WandaVision when you step in and it's all very pristine and TV set. Whereas actually this wasn't. You could see where things had changed over time. You could see where people had lived and the effects that change in infrastructure around Orlando and Winter Garden has affected it. And I think that was really nice to see. It was so culturally different to anything I'd ever done in America.
Yeah.
But actually it was really nice to do. Well, I've been a fair few times to Orlando, and it was something completely different. And I'd do it again. Absolutely.
I think this is a thing. Sorry, Dad.
Josh.
I think this is the thing for all our guests listening today is that actually this is something that anybody with a hire car or anything can go and do. And I don't want to send the masses of tourists upon downtown Winter Garden. However, I think actually the place is just so worth a visit because actually it's basically just at the back of Big Thunder Mountain in reality to where it is on a map. And actually, it's so within touch of Disney World, and yet you couldn't be further away from Disney World it's a different type of immersion, isn't it, that you get within there. It sends you back years, and actually it feels like a very self-sustaining little town that the people rely on each other to get through life, and there was something quite beautiful about that.
And it's neat because, like you said, it is so close that if I leave like a friend's gathering in downtown Winter Garden around 9 o'clock and I turn south to head home, I can clearly see the fireworks over the treetop. And it's the coolest thing, just driving, down 535 and looking down and you're just like, and there's just fireworks. It's like this beacon drawing you to the bubble. It's wild.
If you are a current cast member now, like listening to this, either on your CEP or you're doing the cultural representative program the year long, or even in the future, if you're listening to this in preparation for your program, if you're looking for a place to go outside of the Disney bubble that's not far away, just to have some sense of normality, really, sense of non-Disney. Of course, Disney's lovely, but if you're looking for somewhere that's just where people live and people have like a daily life that isn't to do with Epcot or Animal Kingdom or Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios, it's somewhere so lovely and so in a way enchanting because it's not Disney and because it's somewhere that people just live. Yeah, highly recommend it.
And I will say on our next visit that the first pint is on me in the bar in downtown Winter Garden because I was obviously a month before turning 21, and so I was the one that stopped us all from being able to have a pint there. And
we'll meet if anyone can, for sure.
If anyone listening to this is currently out there who's not quite turned 21, but they like a beer, don't enter this pub because actually the smell that you get from the beers is just incredible. And if you haven't had a beer for so long, yeah, it's. But yeah, that's definitely on the hit list to do next time. But anyway, so from downtown Winter Garden, we headed around to the Zac Brown household and had the pleasure of meeting your mum and dad, who just welcomed us as if, we were one of their own. And yeah, we had such a lovely evening.
I missed them, by the way. I really do.
Aw. They said to tell you both hello, so it's just know that they're here in spirit.
Definitely.
It was great having you guys over, and I think it's kind of funny because Americans, like other people in different countries, there's such a diversity to Americans, whether you're from, New England and New York, and you got the guys from the Midwest, you got, people from Texas and California and Portland and all these different things. There's so many different, types of people. And, the fact that you got these, Midwestern, which is again, just good old homeboys and, from Ohio and, but rooted in Florida, it's like that's a pretty nice little slice of American culture with my folks.
Absolutely. I mean, so I'm going to move past the dinner, but even going out after the dinner and going out and seeing the crocodiles and the alligators even in the lake, not the crocodiles, the alligators in the lake outside. It's just felt so amazing. Like it was so lovely.
I think at a time where, we were obviously missing home because we'd been away for, nearly it was nearly 2 months by that time that we went there.
Probably was 2 months.
It really felt like it was like a home away from home. Like, when you walk into a home and you get the smells of like home cooking and the welcome of family members basically. And it was just such a beautiful night. And we, your mum made us a roast dinner, which is probably the most British of ideas. It was a brilliant, and it
was so good as well.
It was a fantastic roast dinner, and we took back the remains of the roast dinner to have the next day, didn't we?
I had it. I had it next day.
100%. It was greatly appreciated.
And it's funny that you say that it's such a British thing to do because for me, I'm like, oh, that's an American Sunday meal. Roasted potatoes, corn, carrots, peas, whatever. So it's funny that it's like those things that we do overlap with culturally.
Oh, absolutely. The one thing that didn't quite overlap, and we touched on it in the introduction.
There's your segue.
Yorkshire pudding.
Go check out the Zac Brown show for the other conversation we had on this topic. But
and I will include pictures in the show notes, which we put onto the Waffles Arms.
Did you get pictures of it? That's good.
I got pictures
Sending
of it,
it back to people at home. Go look at this sad thing.
You know what though? Despite its looks, it tasted good. So whatever it was
tasted
that
amazing.
made for us, I would say an American pudding was quite nice.
Had a girl, Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just bless her heart. She tried. She goes, I just want to do something that's a taste of home. Yeah. I was like, okay. And then she pulls this thing out of the oven. I went, what is it? And she was like, it's a Yorkshire pudding. I went, are you sure?
We appreciated the effort so much. But to begin with, we appreciated the effort so much that we just didn't say anything. And we're like, oh, this is brilliant. Thank you so much. And then you turn around to us like on a side note. It's like, is that what they're supposed to look like? And we're like, no.
So that was a cultural experience for you. You got to experience the British sort of, no, it's fine.
It's great.
I can't wait for the days that you make your way across to the UK and you get to have a proper Yorkshire pudding.
Send a picture back to Mom and be like, this
is what this is
what it's supposed to be.
But I remember from that evening, after the dinner, we sat around and we got chatting. And I think the thing that struck me so much was that actually we found so many similarities in different things, if that makes sense. So like, I remember having conversations with your dad about, because I'm going through my final year of university this last year, and I was doing mine on like Western centric sports and how they react with Saudi Arabian investment. And so to find out your dad's take on these things, but from an American view with American sports side of things. So there were things like that just kept popping up through the night that have remained with me ever since, because Yeah, at that moment in time, it didn't matter what part of the world each of us came from, but we had a shared interest in the same greater cause, just through different things. And that was something that you don't ever really get to experience otherwise.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I mean, because again, I think the way to connect with people that you know well or you don't know very well is sharing a meal and inviting them into your home, because once you just kind of like get relaxed and you kind of let those, your shoulders drop and let your guard down, just kind of relax into the moment, you're really just, and as long as you're curious, I would say, as you're curious, you're genuinely just like wanting to know about the other person, you'll quickly find those similarities. And I think we take delight in the differences. It'd be like, oh wow, I don't see it that way, or we don't eat it that way, or we don't go and do that thing. And tell me about how you do Christmas. Or it's such a joy when you're connecting with other people that way. So it was fun having you guys in that night and just, welcoming my British brothers into the house.
Yeah.
I think for us as well, it was such a nice reprieve from everything. Like to be in we could go out to fast food chains or whatever, but actually to be in a household, have home cooking, have like be in a household where it feels lived in, and
But it was such an evening of just like pressure off though as well. We didn't have to use anybody. We didn't have to do any of that. It was very much, we could just be ourselves, could make ourselves at home,
Yeah.
My it's not a regret, what's the word? It's my biggest sadness of last summer was that the hurricane we did have only lasted a day. And thankfully it did, because obviously it wasn't a horrible hurricane. But Zac had sold us the idea of a hurricane party in the house. And yeah, we got ourselves quite excited for a Brown stay over, didn't we? But
I mean, I was
That
well.
was
but at the same time, it would have been a great weekend.
I mean, that is the one thing that I was like, man, that would have been the hat trick. We did Portillo's, Waffle House, and if we'd had the third, which would have been Hurricane Party, that would have just been
on my
your cultural
statement to the US government.
Yeah.
We experienced a hurricane. Tick.
Mm-hmm. And we lived.
Look at me every time I go back. Just every time I go back, they look at me going, look of disappointment,
but
or proudness, maybe.
To top that whole evening off, though, we popped into Publix on the way home, because a Publix for me and Morg to get to was very difficult to get to. And this actually came up on my memories the other day. I think it was a year ago, or it was just one of them suggested.
Right around.
You. And it popped up and it said that it was a picture of the British aisle that we'd found. And all of a sudden, these things that me and Morgan had been missing for so long. I remember buying a bottle of Robinson's squash, just orange squash. And it was gone pretty much instantly anyway, but we were quite happily paying $5 for something that in this country you can buy for £1. But we saw Heinz beans, we saw shortbread, we saw everything that we'd, craved and missed from back home.
Absolutely.
In Publix. Yeah. So again, anybody listening to this who are currently out there for a prolonged period of time and you miss your British comforts, then Publix have a very good range of British foods.
For a premium.
For a premium.
Premium.
Yeah. So our last real, this was more of a cultural experience for Zac, maybe more than us. However, I would like to touch on Zac's Zuba services.
Okay. I was like, again, I have no idea where we're going with these leads.
I haven't sent you the script purposely because I'm quite enjoying the fact that I've
seen very little of the script, so I'm sort of like, what's going on?
I'm along for the ride.
So Zac Zuba, it was brilliant. Anytime that we were stuck or in a pickle or anything like that, we just had to give Zac a ring, and he was there every time to come and collect us. And my fondest memory of the lot of Zac coming to pick me up was when we tried for the baseball the second night, and I'd had a particularly rough day at work the previous day and had managed to get myself a sick day, and we tried for the baseball again, ended up being rained off. We then went to Chick-fil-A, which was my first ever experience at Chick-fil-A, and it was brilliant. And because again of Zac's super services, we went to Magic Kingdom for the last hour of the park being open, and we walked in with Happy Ever After on, and by the time we got to our first ride, which is Pirates of the Caribbean, we had about 45 minutes, and we did Pirates of the Caribbean, Big Thunder Mountain and Haunted Mansion before then sauntering down Main Street to leave the park for the day. And it was that flexibility really that Zac Zuva Services offered us. It really did enhance our experiences. But there was one moment in time that the Zuba actually saved me and Morg from a potential emergency. And it was on the night where myself and Morgan had gone to Olive Garden.
Yeah.
And on our way to
it was the Uber journey from hell on the way there.
I forgot about this.
Yeah. I mean, we can laugh at it now. At the time, it was a very scary experience.
Yeah, I was getting texts from multiple people that evening.
So I'd sent. I'm trying to remember how it played out. So we booked an Uber from Flamingo West to Olive Garden, and it should have been 5-minute drive.
Yeah, 5 to 8 minutes. Yeah.
And I'd paid something like $8 for it.
Yeah.
And so he picked us up, and initial thoughts about the car. It smelt like he was doing something that he shouldn't be doing. He looked like he was on something, and he drove like he was on something.
Yeah. In hindsight, he almost certainly was on something. And
yes, he absolutely was.
I mean, the amount of time we swerved across lanes, we swerved. I actually don't know how he missed that central reservation that he'd swerved towards.
So that he got close to it quite a few times. And then
that's most of your drivers on the 192, but anyway.
But not at that. He was going probably about 30 above the speed limit.
Yeah. But then there was a moment when he then slowed down and he'd be going 30 below the speed limit in the fast lane on a motorway.
And Josh was texting me from the back going, "Are we going the right way? What's going on?" I'm concerned here. So I was looking at the Uber map tracker, and I'd seen we'd gone past the exit that we needed to take, and we were going the opposite direction now. At which point, I text Mum saying, "Look, here's the Uber map. I know you're probably asleep, but just track me on this." And then I was like, "He's not asleep, Zach." So I said,
but I think
because we're in the same time zone, so I said Zach the tracking thing on Uber, going, "Look, here's the lowdown of what's happening. Currently in the Uber ride from hell, in a tiny, like, four-door hatchback."
Mm-hmm.
I remember Zach's response being, "That's a strange route to take. I'll keep an eye."
Yes.
But I mean, the worst bit about that though was then the fact that he then missed the next exit to then just pull a U-turn, and he kept going down the 192. And
I think at this point you're wondering, if I jump out, is there enough room to tuck and roll, or will I hit a bus bench?
Or will I hit the central reservation?
Yeah.
But it was at the point where I was almost going, let's cancel this ride, and he can stop here.
I was more than willing just to stand at the side of the 192 for Zach to come pick us up at that point, because
I was as well. But he got us there and then tried to charge me an extra $15 more for the longer journey. At which point I complained to Uber itself and went, "Yeah, not sure that's happening. He's just driven 15 minutes the wrong direction.
Yeah,
I'm not getting this ride, and he's getting 0 stars from me."
Yeah.
So my memory of that night is it was later. It wasn't late, but I think it was funny because I remember going, I think I'm going to go to bed early tonight. And I just kind of got to the point where I was just about settled in. And my phone goes off, and it's Morgan going, "Hi, I don't think we have a reason to panic, but basically, I just need somebody to know, be aware of what's going on." I went, "Do you need me to come get you?" And you're like, "Maybe, I'll let you know." I went, "Okay." So then shortly thereafter, I get another message from Claire, I believe, going, "Have you heard from the boys?" I said, "Yes, I'm talking with Morgan." And she was like, "Okay, great, thank you." And then I think John messaged me as well and was like, "Hey, thanks for what you're doing," or something. I was like, just guide the chair like in Spider-Man. So I'm like, okay. And so then finally, I think, Morgan, you sent me the link, to where I could watch your trip. And I'm watching, I'm like, this is sketchy. the way I know where they are and where they're intending to go, and it just doesn't make sense. And so, it came to the point where I was like, just let me know where I need to come get you. And I was like, I can be there in less than 20. Let me put on some pants. I'll be there in a second. And getting there and having been with you guys all summer, and knowing your temperament and whatever, when I finally picked you up, it was like you were done. Like I could just see it. It was like, we're tired, we're frustrated, we're hungry. Like it was all the emotions. And I was like, okay, like it's fine now.
Yeah, that was
Wild.
Yeah, that
We
was
managed to get our
weekend.
breadsticks from Olive Garden.
We did.
Like, we came back with the breadsticks.
We did complete everything that we set out to achieve.
Because were you coming back from dinner or going to dinner?
We're going
So
to
we
dinner.
went to dinner.
Okay.
We had dinner, and then we called,
And then we were
called in Uber
Yeah.
services for the trip back, because neither Josh or I were willing to put our lives in the hands of Uber drivers at that point again.
Why?
Yeah, that
Although
was
the very next morning, I had a very lovely Uber driver who gave me full service to Epcot and said, "Do you need a park map? I've got some here." At which point I was like, "No, I think I'm okay. I'm a cast member." And he was
I
like,
appreciate it though.
I was like, "I appreciate the sentiment." He was like, "Oh, cool." And we had a full conversation about it. But it was probably the best Uber driver of the trip. But
Yeah.
it was mental 24 hours. Not even that, 12 hours, really.
I think we can gather from this to Zach, we would give your services 10 out of 10 or 5
thank you. I
stars out of
appreciate
5, whatever Uber or Zuber would like to be phrased by.
5 Yorkshire puddings out of 5.
5 Yorkshire puddings out of 5.
That's funny.
So, Zach, would you like to tell everybody where they can find your podcast so they can keep
So
up with everything that you're up to?
Well, can't talk about everything I'm up to, but if you care to listen, you can check out the Zac Brown Show. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcast, really wherever you like to listen to it. I mean, who knows? Maybe you're picking it up from your neighbor who's playing it through their window. That might be interesting. But you could follow on Instagram and Facebook at the Zac Brown Show, and I post kind of like little clips from the show and sometimes sneak peeks depending on what's going on. And I've got something really secretive cooking that's coming, and I'm pretty excited about it. And that's hopefully starting production on something new here in the very near future.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
An exclusive.
Yeah,
There
we'll
we
talk
go.
a little offline.
that's the first GB Mickey Waffle Jr. exclusive that we can.
We've got to try and get an
Share it with
exclusive
you.
from every guest we have on, Josh.
And I must also tell our listeners that if you haven't already, then be sure to check out the podcast from February, which is episode number 31 of the Zac Brown Show, where you can listen to even more trials and tribulations of mine and Mug's experiences with Zach last summer, which we recorded a while back, which was, very fun. And actually, I think it was from that podcast that me and Mug realized that actually we have a lot still to talk about. And
Absolutely.
why we're-
There's probably still more to talk about as well that we've not discussed.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be more podcasts in the future. Where
It's
we
kind of
can-
it was the unofficial pilot to Great British Mickey Waffle Jr.
absolutely.
was.
Absolutely. So thank you as always, Zach, for joining us once again. And from myself and Morg, we appreciate everything you did for us last summer. And I have no
Absolutely.
doubt that we'll 100% be getting you on again as a guest real soon.
Well, it was my pleasure, boys. Thank you.
So thank you everyone for joining us. And once again, you can find us on all podcasting platforms of your choice, whether that be YouTube, Spotify, Apple. You can also find us on our website, at the Great British Mickey Waffle Online. And for everyone who is visiting the Mouse this summer, including all residents of your normal GB Mickey Waffle show, and maybe a top secret trip in there for a member of our show too, we hope you all have a great time sharing memories. Until next time, keep on moving all the way to the end of the row, and we'll see you real soon.